Hello, this tutorial is going to step us through some of the activities for module, I believe, 12 and 13. By now you should have gone through this walkthrough with the other videos and looked at the advantages for unit testing. There's some videos that talk through this, but a lot of it is listed here on this screen, and I've talked about that in the other videos. So be aware of the advantages of unit testing. And then there are some other videos by Venkat on his channel, Kud Venkat, etc. But here's what you're going to be doing. So you're going to, in Module 12, you're going to be looking at writing unit tests for 2 of the projects. And if you've run out of class time to complete those projects, you can to actually complete them in code, I'm going to let you write the unit tests on paper. You're not going to earn full credit. It will be full credit if they're written in code, and you can show me the red and green bars for writing the unit tests, but if you need to, you can actually do this process on paper. The code that you guys are going to be working with is posted on Blackboard, but also just to briefly glance at it here, you're going to be writing code to test one method called cups to ounces as an example. And I believe there's only one method that you're going to do in that particular exercise. If we go to Blackboard, for example, the directions are as follows. It says you're going to open up your cups to ounces tutorial, and you are going to write test valid input on the following. You're going to test that 3 cups will return 24 ounces. You're going to test a half a cup will return 4 ounces, and then what would a third return. So those are the unit tests that you're going to be writing, and then the fourth one is to validate input. And so test that you get an error message when you validate input. And so those are the things that we're going to be talking through. The second exercise is the pay and bonus, and you are supposed to write 4 unit tests to test the input is valid method. So you're writing 4 tests for the input is valid method. So we're going to take a look at how you would do that. I have downloaded a completely different project to step you through this with, and that project happens to be calculating the test averages and from an array. So mine might have a little bit more setup than yours, but just so you can see what this project does, this is the one that read test scores from a data file, and you recorded the highest, the lowest, and the average. So we could test for the high score, the low score, the average score, and we could also test for some valid input or error messages from the data file potentially. Okay, so that's the project that we are going to be working with. If we go back to the slides here, each unit test that you write should include the framework for arrange, act, and assert. And remember, in the banking account example that you should have gone through or at least watched the videos on, this is a unit test, and when you write a unit test, remember you need the brackets test method, and it has an arrange, which is basically setting up your default values. So when we arrange hours, we'll have to maybe work with set up a different array of test values. And then you have the actual action that's occurring, and then the assert is where you are going to test to see if a value is within a certain range. There are several other assert methods. The ones that are used in this example are assert.rEqual as an example. I just Googled assert class for our unit testing just so that you can see what other options that you have. So we're using the rEqual for a lot of ours. Please notice there's several different varieties of rEqual. You have several overloaded methods here. They have the same name but different arguments for rEqual. If I scroll down, there are not equal. There is, if I keep scrolling, are not the same. You have a fail. You have inconclusive string. I have no idea what that is. You have equals, etc. There's a variety of them. There's also a failed assert failed exception for exception testing. If we take a look at that, so we can check to see if something failed, and they also give you some examples of this, I believe, if we click on it, if you need to look through here. And so it initializes a new instance of the assert failed class, etc. We'd have to dig into this. But the point is, if you want to learn what other options you have for unit testing, you need to go to Microsoft and check into that. The most common one that is used is assert, and the methods within that are listed right here. And so those are the ones that are most oftenly used. There's a throws exception in here too, and so I think we're going to be able to cover everything with the ones that are here. Okay. Going back to our test average project, I am going to step you through this from scratch, and you'll be able to see my mistakes and everything as we go through, which makes the videos longer, but then it also, I think, maybe helps you debug sometimes. But you can put the speed up on the video to twice the speed, and you can scroll back and forth as needed. But basically what we're going to need to do is we're going to right click and we're going to add a new item here. And the new item that we're going to add is a unit testing class. And this is a test average program, so we'd probably name it test average tests because it's a unit test.